There are 5 women listed in Jesus' genealogy: Tamar, Rahab, Ruth, Bathsheba, and Mary. These women all have interesting stories. I'll just share one of their stories to give you a feel for them, and then we'll talk about why Matthew may have chosen to include these specific women. The first woman Matthew mentions is Tamar. Her story is a bit unsavory, but here's the basic storyline. Judah, as in one of the 12 sons of Israel, had 3 sons. His oldest son married Tamar, then he died. So his second son half-heartedly fulfilled the traditional Jewish duty and married Tamar, and then he died. Judah, seeing a trend, didn't want to have his third son marry Tamar because what if he dies? Under Jewish tradition, Judah had the responsibility to let Tamar marry his third son. But Judah didn't fulfill this responsibility. Meanwhile, Tamar was getting frustrated because she wanted to have a baby. That was her right, and Judah was withholding his son from her. So she came up with a plan. She disguised herself as a prostitute and went to a road where she knew Judah would be walking. When Judah saw her, he didn't recognize her and asked if he could engage her services. He didn't have anything to pay her with, so she said, "Why don't you just give me your staff as a temporary payment? And then once you bring me the real payment, I'll give you back your staff." Judah liked that idea, and they consummated their agreement. Afterward, Tamar returned home and took off her disguise. When Judah returned with the payment, he couldn't find her, and so he thought his staff was gone forever. About 3 months later, it was discovered that Tamar was pregnant. Judah got mad and said, "My daughter-in-law has been a whore. Let's burn her." When Tamar came before Judah, she said, "Yes, I am pregnant. And by the way, Judah, here's the staff of the guy who got me pregnant." Judah, realizing what happened, said, "You have been more righteous than I have been. This is my fault. I should have given you my third son." Tamar was not put to death. Instead, she bears twins, both of whom are named in Jesus' genealogy. This story is a part of the Savior's heritage. The other women also have interesting backgrounds. Rahab is a prostitute. Ruth is a foreigner who approaches Boaz in the middle of the night. Bathsheba has a controversial connection with David. In other words, each one of these individuals has something unusual about them, particularly in terms of their marriage or childbearing. Why might Matthew include these particular women? As a modern reader, I find this is a powerful example that even if our parents or other ancestors struggled, it doesn't need to define who we are. Jesus' background has its fair share of difficult stories. Another insight for modern readers is that God works through imperfect people, as well as those on the margins of society. All can be participants in helping to bring forth his work. A first-century reader might see a different meaning in Matthew's inclusion of these particular women. Rumors were circulating even in the Savior's day that Jesus was an illegitimate child. In the words of scholar Raymond Brown, the backgrounds to the marital unions of all 4 women, with the husbands mentioned in the genealogy, were irregular. Yet the women themselves were instruments of God in continuing the messianic line. Does that prepare us for the unusualness of Mary's conceiving? Put more simply, perhaps Matthew is saying, to those of you who are hearing rumors about Jesus being illegitimate, just remember that in King David's life and among his ancestors, there were some unusual birth stories, but that was part of God's work. So don't be alarmed when you hear unusual stories about Jesus' background.
To see more videos like this one, simply search Seeking Jesus.